Not really.
We are live.
Hey,
good morning, everybody.
how's everyone doing?
It's early.
We got the beams shining down on the video.
The light is just
We got
never.
my whale-esque. It's not this big, but for some reason when I sit there, it makes me look.
You actually, I was thinking yesterday, looked like you lost weight. I don't know if it's because like the haircut or whatever.
Could be.
But yeah.
Gotta cut.
All right. If everything is retweeted.
Oh, I gotta retweet. Give me a second here, all right? Give me a second here. I'm gonna do it. Oh yeah, we're going live now. That's what I gotta put. Put live now, guys.
Putting live now. We've been live for a few minutes.
It's like I'm an expert tweeter, you know.
It is your specialty.
It's what I do.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's how I make my money. That's
Already.
me.
Yeah.
Where did okay, so real quick, just so everyone knows.
Inside
real
baseball.
Celts move here. I was like looking over here, I'm like going around. I was looking for this.
Well, let me say this
It's
actually.
literally right in front of me. Okay, so
Last thing I'll say before we
yes,
start.
please.
It is a miracle that you've never knocked that over. When you consider how much
Oh,
you
I
like
know.
spin and hit your
especially
hands.
because
And,
when
like,
it's my water bottles, I knock them over all the freaking
right.
time.
Even just now.
Even
Like you're
just
right by it and you're just playing.
I know.
So you're gonna knock it over today.
Yeah, thanks for that.
No
Elliot
problem.
set me
Yeah.
up to
Well,
fail.
since I brought it up, it's definitely gonna
All
happen.
right, we ready?
Yes.
Are you guys ready?
Yeah, I hope so.
We got yeses, even though we didn't.
Yeah.
know, I can feel it. It's
You
one
can
of those
feel
things
it.
you know.
Well, here's the deal. They don't really have to decide.
We
have to
either
start,
way.
yeah.
You're right. Come on. Yeah, I have a job to do after this.
Yeah.
So, you know me.
Well, you're
As do
working
you.
now.
I am. You're right. Look
Yeah,
at that.
you're already working.
What a great life.
Yeah.
All right, ready? Hey, hello. It is the Go Birds podcast presented by the Bet Park Sportsbook and Casino app. Elliott Shore Parks. It is Wednesday,
It is.
and the Philadelphia Eagles are still in the Super Bowl, buddy. It has not gotten old for me yet. I still wake up every day with
Yeah.
a little pep in my step,
The
little
ankle feels
juice.
better. The better.
Eh,
Just
better
now.
and better
Yeah,
every
exactly.
day. It still hasn't, it's both hasn't sunk in and has sunk in, and all I feel is just a general
Yeah.
air of joy around these days. It's a beautiful thing. Man.
Well, I agree with all that. I mean, I think it has sunk in for me in the way that, I'm going to
I was
Arizona.
just about to
like
say,
I'm,
you got your flight.
yeah, I'm planning it. Right, exactly. But so this morning, we leave to go in. And normally I'll text you, here's where the spot is or whatever. Walk outside, there's snow.
Yeah, buddy.
And it is a reminder, a couple of things. One, I said this to you on the drive in, but the perfect amount of snow was falling overnight.
Yeah,
Like that's the perfect
heaven.
amount. In an ideal world, we would have seen it fall. Cause it's always fun if me and Chris are
Yeah,
sitting
see
on the
some
couch.
flakes
And,
coming out,
right.
sure.
But I do think that was the perfect amount of snow. So
Just enough to coat the top of your car.
Yeah.
That comes right off and use your windshield.
Exactly,
wipers,
yeah.
And nothing on the
That's
ground
it.
to mess with parking spots and all. See, this is something I used to talk to you about, and you never fought me on it because you were very,
I was very scared of parking. when I first
Exactly.
moved, Yeah.
But there is nothing worse than a huge snowstorm in the city for parking because it takes up a bunch of spots, obviously.
Right.
The snow takes up spots. Then on top of it, because it usually stays cold after, it takes like a month
Yeah.
for the snow to get these spots are taken. It's dirty,
People
gross
put their
snow.
chairs.
It's the worst. So
Yeah.
this was just fine.
It was a perfect amount of
Yeah.
snow. I agree with that. But the other thing is, so the coat I wore in today was a coat I got when they went to Super Bowl in Minnesota.
Yeah, buddy.
It's a little different now. I mean, it's going to be in the 70s.
You won't need that coat as
Yeah,
much.
it's going to be in the 70s.
It's a dome, right? I'm retractable, but I'm assuming they'll go dome for the game.
So I think it's one of those ones where the top can open or close.
Yeah,
I would
retractable.
assume it's going to be open. I mean, I don't know.
Not a
But
value
I was thinking, and maybe this is a foolish question, but what do you think the crowd split will be like? Because look, there's enough fans out there of both that have money to get tickets, but super expensive tickets. Kansas City also, I think, a really well-traveling team.
Yeah, sure.
I'll just be curious. I mean,
I think
there was just Eagles fans just made a trip to Arizona.
Right, but also the Chiefs have been in the Super Bowl 3 of the last 5 years or whatever. So if you're a
Sure,
Chiefs
that's a good
fan,
point. You've had a chance to be
you've
there
made
more.
those trips. You probably have. Whereas Eagles fans, yes, it was 5 years ago, but we also know that Eagles fans travel hard. And it was 5 years ago. I know,
and it's a better city this time.
It's a better city. It's all that stuff. And I do think that was this one people really feel like we're going to win. So you made this point with the NFC Championship game where it's people want to be there because they think they're going to win the game.
It is crazy.
Part of
it is crazy to think that there is a supreme.
I would guess more
confidence.
Eagles is my point. I would say 65-35.
Yeah.
Is my guess.
I could see that. I'll be curious to see who the neutral fans end up rooting for.
Yeah,
like that's
well,
like
I think that
it always happens where there's 10% of the stadium that had tickets.
And I think that can go both ways. I think it can either be like a vibe in the stadium, or it could be like the game. Like I guarantee you, the neutral fans who were rooting for Atlanta in the Atlanta Pats Super Bowl that you were at, I found out this morning, very cool.
Yeah, I was at,
Like by the time it turned, they were like, "Go Pats! This is awesome. Let's see history." So I think it can change in a game too.
And also to your point, like in 2017, Nick Foles, you would think now they were a great underdog story,
and also that was like not the the Pats is what, like 8th Super Bowl at the time, or whatever,
right?
10th, whatever it was, 9th Super Bowl at the time, and they had 6 wins already, or 5 wins or whatever, and they would get their 6. Like, so I think for that point, that really hammered home though, like, all right, Pats fans just don't care as much about being there as Eagles fans. So that's why, and I've heard a lot of people say, people go to a lot of Super Bowls, that was one of the most heavily shaded towards one fan.
I mean, it was crazy
that they've ever been to.
Yeah, like the fight song at the beginning of it, like it was an Eagles home.
So I found out this morning, Elliot's been like 5 Super Bowls. Cool guy over here.
No big deal to me.
Awesome.
Yeah.
No, I think I've never been to one. Like it's
which one did you go to?
I've never been to one.
Oh, never. I thought you said I've been to one.
No, I've never been to one. So I mean, that's awesome that you got to do that. So, what's it like? What's it like to go to the Super Bowl, man? Like, and then an Eagles Super Bowl. What's the difference between going to a Super Bowl and then and then we're gonna get into. I want to talk about the Super Bowl experience. I want to talk about the 2017 compared to now and all that. But quickly, just for I'm guessing me, obviously, but also I'm guessing the vast majority of our, at least a large portion of our listeners who've never gotten to go to a Super Bowl. Like, what's that experience like?
Here's my honest to God assessment, because I'm sure there's a lot of people out there listening, debating, like, should I go to the Super Bowl, right? Should I spend the money to go to the Super Bowl? Should I go to Arizona? Here would be my advice on what a Super Bowl is like. Being in the city when the Super Bowl is happening is really cool. Like, there's a lot of free events. It really feels like everywhere you go in that city, it feels like an event's happening. Like, there's a definite, streets are closed down. There's street fairs. There's signage everywhere. Like,
the Super Bowl takes over.
It takes over the city, 100%. In terms of, like, when the Eagles in 2017, there were Eagles fans everywhere in Minnesota. And I have to say, too, for Vikings fans, that was probably an extra little stab in the back.
Sure, a
little twist of the knife. The game itself feels very much.
Put the jersey on the Rocky statue.
Exactly. The game itself, I think, feels a lot like a concert as opposed to a football game. Like, there's just a lot of the pregame thing takes forever. The halftime thing takes forever. The other thing is the halftime show.
The commercials are probably longer than a normal.
Yeah, the halftime show is not meant for in person. Like, when you watch it in person,
it's for TV.
Yeah, like, it's not meant to enjoy in the stadium.
I bet it's wild to watch them set it up though and take it apart, because I'm always amazed when they do.
Yeah, and the lights
so
and
it's like, wow, you are all really competent at what you're doing here.
So I think that I think the coolest thing about going to the Super Bowl is saying you were at the Super Bowl. In my opinion, like, I think the actual experience.
I just said, you're like, I've been to 5 Super Bowls. I'm like, wow, that's cool. So I think you're a perfect example.
But I think if you're an Eagles fan and you're like debating, should I spend the money to go to the Super Bowl? I think it's a win-win. I think if you spend the money to go to the Super Bowl, you will not regret it. It's super fun. Like, being at the game is super cool to say you were there. But I also truly do believe there is something about being at the Super Bowl that just doesn't strike the same tone as being in Philadelphia or the city of. Like, just there's going to be a buzz here. There's going to be a ton of fans celebrating after. You can watch the coverage better. So my honest answer is I think it's a win-win. Like, I think if you go, it'll be an experience that lives up to it and you'll remember for the rest of your life. But I also think if you don't go, you're not missing out, because you're still getting it at home.
Yeah, that's
the best answer.
So in 2017, I did, like, not that I was going to go anyway, but I didn't want to go. Like, I was like, I want to, and because I thought they were winning in 2017 too. I was super confident going into that one. Obviously it was a different kind of confidence. It was like an underdog. It was no one believes in us.
Dude, in 2017, I had no question.
I was sure they were winning the Super Bowl. Like, I was even when they went down 1 point in the fourth quarter, I was like, we're winning. Like, even then, I didn't get nervous, and it was crazy that I didn't. But I remember how I felt. I was like, we got this. Like, Foles got it. Which is crazy to think about in hindsight. But then
I really can't believe you never knock your drink over. It's all I can think about right now. Right? It's
what can I say?
Yeah.
It's a miracle. But I wanted to be here in 2017. If I had the opportunity to go to the Super Bowl, I would have said no. I want to walk to freaking City Hall when the Eagles win the Super Bowl. Like, that mattered more to me. It mattered more to me to be here, to be at the Fillmore, to be with all these Eagles fans. Like, that mattered more. This time around, having gotten to do that, I would go to the Super Bowl. Like, I'm not.
Right.
Not going,
unfortunately.
guys.
Yeah.
This guy's going, not me.
Well, you got to go to all the World Series games.
Yes,
so.
so, look,
Yeah.
your boy ain't complaining.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
I'm hopefully gonna get to watch the Super Bowl with Emily, which I didn't get to do last time.
Right.
But regardless, I wanted to be here last time. This time I would go. So I do think, if you have the opportunity to go and you were able to be here last time, I do think it's another unique experience you get out.
So what Kristen did last time for Minnesota, which I thought actually ended up working out great. She came out on like Wednesday, saw the town for like, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, flew back to Philly on Sunday for the Super Bowl.
That's smart.
And also the flights are way cheaper if you fly out the day of the game because
Yeah.
not a lot of people are
It
doing
would just
it.
be,
There's the risk, but you
there's
just
a
take
risk.
like
But
the
if-
6 a.m.
You
flight.
just go early and hope you don't get. That's smart.
But so I think that's almost the ultimate hack because there is something cool about being in the city
I'm
where
sure.
Yeah,
and feeling the
100%,
vibes
yeah.
and going to media day.
and there's just
media day, just
people
one day
everywhere.
for those people. I
Yeah,
saw some people online.
it's just one day.
Theorizing it might be multiple days.
Yeah, it's
just
just
called media day.
Monday night.
Just throwing that
Yes.
out there.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So, but I mean, I tweeted last night, and I will say, if you're a Go Birds listener, auto download a real one, and you're going to the Super Bowl, like let me know.
Yeah.
Like, DM me. Like I do want to try to do maybe like some type of meetup thing. I'm gonna be there, so
Yeah, why
I
not?
think it'd be fun.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's get into the Super Bowls of it all, the 2017 verse now, because I thought you guys had a really interesting discussion on the afternoon show yesterday when you were on with those guys talking about, what matters more and what can matter more. 2017, the first time versus 2022, this, chance to be one of the all-time great teams, certainly an all-time great Philly team. Like it's a very different experience. But you talked about, could it be more special than the first time? I mean, I'll tell you straight off the bat, and it's different. And I'm not saying I don't care as much about this team, but for me personally, like I find it hard to believe that I will have the same type of emotions as the first time, because it was the first time. Like, we did the whole, my family got to see one before they die. Or you think about my dad did die. He wasn't there for that. I think about my dad and how he would have felt and how my family, and like there was so much of that generational, like we've waited our whole generations of families have waited for this to happen, that it just, I can't wait for the Super Bowls, not to take away. I think it's going to be amazing. And again, it's different in the sense that this team has a chance to do something really special in a different way.
Yeah.
But I don't know if it'll be different, but I don't know if it'll be like as special as that first time.
Well,
you know what I mean?
Yeah. So I think it's an interesting question because I don't think there's a right answer in the way that,
because they're both amazing.
Yeah.
Look, I don't think Patriots fans are like, oh yeah, really, I didn't love that fourth one as much. They're like,
right,
we want as many as we can get.
Well, and so I do think by the time you get to like 4 or 5, maybe then
it's a little,
yeah, but
again, for their 4 and 5, it was like the freaking Falcons and Seahawks or whatever. So it's like
2 great games.
It's like, wow, that's amazing.
But think about their win over the Rams, right?
Right, 13-3. It's like the 6th one. That one is just like,
yeah, that was just like kind of, that's all Patriots fans, like that's my least favorite one. but I think
for a lot of them too, it was like it was one last one after they lost us and all that. I was honestly, that was the only of all the Super Bowls they won. All of them.
Patriots you're talking about.
The Patriots.
Yeah.
The only one I was happy they won was that last one against the Rams.
Against McVay.
Because it was against McVay and Goff, and at the time was the whole Wednesday thing. But even more so because I think it amplifies the Eagles' win over them. It's not like,
it's a good point.
It's like the Eagles are the last team to beat that dynasty, that period. And also them winning after the Eagles is not like, oh, they were just like, weren't that good anymore. Like they sandwiched Super Bowls with the Eagles. Like, I think that makes the Eagles win historically look a little bit more impressive.
No, I agree. I think that, my thing on it for 2017 and 2022. So first of all, like I said, I think it can mean different things to different people. 2017 could now hold a special place in someone's heart because of something that's happened since 20. Like, who knows, right? But when I
look, I mean, just a little example, like I have a 4-year-old kid now.
Right.
I didn't last time.
Exactly.
Like I could have a chance to, and she won't appreciate it obviously the same way, but
right. But it'll be the first one you watch.
My kid.
Yeah.
And especially people whose kids are old enough. Like I think the big ones are like the next 5 years. Like if Zoe were 9 now or something.
Yeah, she would like super appreciate the run.
3 last time, like now she's 8 or 10. Last time we're to be like, didn't really get it, but this is fun. And this time can be like, you could do it with them. Like that's got to be a really surreal, amazing experience.
So,
by the way, final thought later about being a parent that I will just say, tease it now, is the most Elliot final thought. I'm going to feel like you as I say.
All right, good, because I don't think I have one. So
okay, good.
That's
I have 2. I got you covered. I got an Elliot one and then I got a real one.
Perfect.
Okay,
all right.
Good.
All right. So I'll answer this question 2 ways. And this one I didn't say on the air yesterday, but so
It's because you saved it for our.
Yeah, exactly.
That makes
I think
sense.
I can say personally, the reason this one will mean more to me is just because I work at WIP. Like
Totally
in
get that.
2017, I worked at NJ.com and it was a great experience and I loved my coworkers and everything. But when you work at the radio station, and I think honestly about the event at McSorley's and like meeting everyone and how many people we've met since I worked here and how much it means to them. Like I think I feel it more than I did last
That's a great
time.
point.
And like I can enjoy it more just because I work at WIP and I talk to fans every day and I feel that emotion they feel. And like, I mean, look, again, I loved NJ.com, but I love WIP. So even just for me, I think this will hold a special place because of that, because of the Go Birds pod. Now I remember the daily pods. And like, I think that from that perspective, personally, that's why I think this one will mean more. But I think if we remove like the personal side.
So real quick, I agree personally. For me, in terms of my career, in terms of what I do every day,
that's what I'm saying.
this definitely means more. I mean, I get to do it with you. Like,
right.
That's the 100%.
That's what I mean.
And also, look, like I'm starting the morning show in a couple weeks. Like I get to start the morning show, the new, like replacing the icon of all icons in Philadelphia radio, like the GOAT, like right after the Eagles in the Super Bowl. Like for me, like that's like. I'm getting chills just thinking about that it happened like this.
That's what I'm saying.
Trust me. And look, when last time they wanted a midday show, we weren't even a year old when the playoffs started. Like, we're 6 years in, we're gonna be the morning show now. Like, it's such a different, like we know each other so much better. The show's so much better, the reaction. So like while that was special and and look, I don't take for granted I get to be on WIP the day after the Eagles won the Super Bowl. Like that's still to this day my number one career moment. It's like I was on WIP the day after the Eagles won the Super Bowl.
Wow.
Like, I got to play We Are the Champions starting our show. Like, are you freaking kidding me? You know? But this is cooler.
Yeah.
From where we're at now. I mean, I get to do it with you. I get to do it with you. We get to do this.
That's what I'm saying. Like I think about, just everybody that we talk to all the time about Go Birds. Like for me, I think I feel it more than I did in 2017. But in terms of a team perspective, here's why I think this one could end up meaning more. Because when you think about this Super Bowl to me is about greatness and dominance. And I also think so my favorite team growing up was the 01 Sixers. If Iverson would have won that title, it would have been my favorite championship ever, no matter what. Because that's my guy. Like Iverson was my guy. If McNabb had won one.
Me and Nick. Got it.
Yeah, exactly. If the 04 Eagles had won it, I think now that would have been the first, so it would have that too. But I think that title would have meant more because that was such a dominant team and such a great run. And it's the icing on the cake, right? I think that 17, while the team was great, I think that sometimes because Foles won it, it carries a specialness, but it doesn't carry the heaviness of wow.
Historic greatness.
Yeah, exactly.
This is a really interesting point.
Whereas I think with this 2022 team, this could be a team where in 5 years, we're looking at Jalen as the best quarterback in franchise history, and he'll have his Super Bowl, right? Devontae will have it, so all these players that are on the team that not only, look, Brandon has one, Kelsey has one, Cox one, but all these players that could end up being all-time great Eagles are going to have a Super Bowl. And I think that as awesome as 2017 was, Foles wasn't even the starter the next year. I think that
first 2 games.
It's a good point. I've said that a few times. I just thought about that. Yeah. But I think that this team, because of what they can accomplish moving forward and because of the continuity throughout the year and because of Jalen and everything, I think this one could end up meaning more just because it'll be something we'll remember about a great team and a great time in Eagles history. The 2017 one, it was, I hate to use the word fluky, and this is a poor lack of vocabulary by me, but it almost, I think, gets viewed sometimes nationally. It was a great game, but kind of, oh, look at this odd Super Bowl where the backup won it. Look at this. The Patriots Super Bowls are just viewed as dominance and greatness. The Giants Super Bowls, to a certain view, are viewed as fluky and one-offy.
But they're beating an undefeated team.
Yeah, right. But I think this Eagles team could be viewed as they were just great all year and they beat a great team to win it. And then in 3 years, we'll look back and go,
this was the start of
and with the 2000 Eagles, it was, we remember the games because they lost in Tampa, Carolina, the Rams.
This time they got to the Super Bowl.
This time they got there to start it.
No.
So I think that the best championships to me are the ones that are tied to greatness. And I think this one is tied to greatness. So I think it could end up meaning more.
So super compelling point. I totally agree with you in terms of the greatness thing. I mean, if this team wins, they're better. They for me personally, they need to win the Super Bowl too. Oh, it's Emily. Hey, we're recording.
I love the live pickup on
the air. Thing.
Yeah.
Where's the car? What do you mean? Oh, where did I park last night? Hold on. I'm on the air. 1 second. I left the keys there. Let me think for a sec. Where did I park the car? Where are we
Everyone's
coming
gonna
home
know. Thankfully,
Yeah.
you'll move
Oh,
it, though.
with Zoe, right? We're coming home with Zoe. It's right at the end of our street, right before the stop sign on to 20th. All right. I love you so much. Bye.
There it is. That is
That's
funny.
fun.
The funny thing about living in the city is, like, I will say parking is not as bad as it was made out to be in my head. I can always find a spot, but it is the remembering where you parked
Well,
it. If you
especially
don't.
when I park it last night and she's
Yeah,
taking Zoe in this
exactly.
word, I get that call. Like she doesn't know where the
Yeah.
car is. She's got a kid. She's like, what am I doing right now?
Yes.
I hope I was right about where I parked it. I think I'm right. Okay. But yeah, back to what I was saying. So I do think it's a great point. And I do like the camera said on the air yesterday, like not just is this the best Philly sports team of his lifetime, and if they win, they are of our lifetime, since Joe, like the 83 Sixers,
Yeah.
4 Hall of Famers, they ran through the playoffs. So you could argue they were better. We didn't see them.
Yeah.
But
And frankly, it was so long ago, who
Joe
cares?
said this might be the best football team of the decade of the
the NFL. You're talking
NFL. And we had a caller say that, and I don't think it's there yet, but that it is a chance to be the best team in the salary cap era. Like it's one of those teams that I know, and I think that's
I'm not
extreme,
disagreeing with
but
you.
like we read the list yesterday of a number of quarterbacks who've gone into a Super Bowl at 16-1. It's 5.
Yeah.
It's 5 dudes like in the salary cap era who've done that, or not even the salary cap era, pre-salary cap era. So
and also
since it was 80 or whatever it was.
Again, I don't think this. Like, I'm not going to sit here and say this Eagles team would beat any team in NFL history because it's one game and who knows.
Well, and also the salary cap, like when they didn't have the salary cap that mattered. There's a reason the Cowboys dynasty was like what they were. It's the reason the Niners were what they were because you could build these teams and not lose all these.
Right, guys. But I guarantee you this Eagles team could go against any team and be extremely competitive.
Well,
because as much as the receivers and the corners and all that matters, again, I can't stress it enough. The line play from this team is unbelievable. And for as much as the game changes in the 80s, the 90s, the 2000s, like whatever, one constant in football is that your offense and defensive line decide games. That's how you decide who wins the game. And there have been some great offensive lines, great defensive lines. And maybe there would be a game where the Eagles matched up and they lost because it was just that day. But if this Eagles team played any team in NFL history 5 times, there's no shot they would lose like 4 of them. Like this team, because of their line play, could play anybody. And so to get it back to the 17 and 22
I was
type
actually
of thing,
I was gonna make a comparison to 17, but go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say I think that's the difference. 2017 was an emotional, fun ride. This is we are watching an all-time team that is going to be remembered. Although,
it has a chance to.
Do you think it will be discussed that way?
Well, I think it depends what happens after. I think like these.
True, good point.
Like if this team continues to be great and it's great every year, it's like they'll look back and be like, "Wow, look how great they were."
Yeah.
But I do think that there will be enough talk. Look, if they win, they'll have gone 17-3, 17-1 with Hurts, and I think if they win somewhat convincingly, like if they win by 10 or two scores,
well, they
and they will have beaten
romp their way through the playoffs.
3 or 4 greatest coaches in this sport, and the next Brady or whatever you want to call him, the next great quarterback in this sport, a guy who's already won one, a guy who's been to 3 of 5. I do think from that perspective, that was, and Ross Tucker said this on the air yesterday. I totally agreed. Like, kind of happy they got the Chiefs because I think historically, like, you don't get that if you beat the Bengals and Burrow, no matter how good we think Burrow is.
I agree.
Like, you beat Andy and Mahomes, there's something gravitas to that. Mm-hmm. And I agree with the way you laid it out. I do think that's the difference. The thing for me, though, when I go back to 2017 is I don't really care as much how it is viewed by everyone else. The way I look at it is like, wow, could our first time have been more special?
It was the most perfect Super Bowl.
Right. And I always said my whole life prior to that one, it's like one of my, and it's not like, the most, greatest call of all time, but like I knew it would go this way. And I was more right than I thought in how it happened. I always said when the Eagles win the Super Bowl, it's going to be when we don't see it coming.
Yeah.
It's going to be like, wow, that was out of nowhere. And the season was, right? They were great out of nowhere. No one expected them to be as good. But then Wentz goes down and it's over. And then it's out of nowhere again. It was like a double out of nowhere that year. So that, the storybook of it all, the movie ending, the fact that this guy who was here before comes back as the backup, gets in the end of the season, struggles, and then turns into the greatest quarterback we've ever seen in the 2 most important games. It's the team itself, that group of guys. And that's something we have this year too, thank God. But like just the most likable group of human beings ever put together on a football field together, a group of guys who love each other and care. I mean, I've told you, I worked for the team for 3 years in there. Nick Foles, Jason Kelce, Brandon Graham. Literally, I'm not like 3 of the nicest human beings I've ever met in my life.
Kelce, Graham, and
Foles, my 3 favorites, my 3 dudes. Like Nick
Yeah.
Foles, I've told this story before, but when 2012, he's a rookie. I am working for the team. It was my first year for the team. I'm super nervous in the locker room with a microphone trying to ask players, and I'm like nervous.
Yeah,
I just started
it is
business.
intimidating.
It's the first time I was in there, and he saw me from across the room, walks across the room, comes up to me, shakes my hand, envelops my whole hand in his
Oh, his hands are massive. Yeah, they're massive.
And he's like, hey, how you doing?
Big hand Nick.
He's like, do you need big hand Nick? He's like, do you need anything? He's like, do you want me to do a quote for you? He's like,
That's cool.
And he's like, is there anything I can do? He's like, I saw you, I know him was talking to you, but cared about some idiot with a microphone in a locker room.
Well, that's why he's a great leader too,
Absolutely. Yeah. But the point was, they were great men, and they were guys you could care about and root for and will love forever and all that stuff. And I agree. That team was not as great as, though I do think the fact that the Super Bowl was the most fun Super Bowl ever.
I mean, very special, the fourth down.
The greatest stat of all time, the most yards in a game.
Yeah.
All the games ever played in the NFL. That's the one with the most yards.
Yeah.
So I think when you take all that together, and again, Chelsea, we're doing it.
Well, it's so funny.
I just think the run was so special and magical that while it was not greatness, heart-wise, it's hard to compare.
Well, so we actually had a commenter comment on the either they tweeted it or they left a 5-star review, which all of you guys should be doing. But the 5-star review is saying we should record our conversation on the drive here as the pre-show.
Well, we get it going too.
Well, but what's funny is if you guys would have heard the pre-show today, James is like, I'm tired. I have a headache. I don't feel like talking. And this is probably the most energetic you've been.
I was hurt. So I had one of those full disclosure. I had one of those nights where you wake up 6 times.
Yeah, those are not the fun nights.
It's not. I fell asleep early. I felt great, and then I woke up at 12, and then I woke up 6 times before I got up, and it was one of those things. But so I just love doing this. I love to get to talk to everyone every morning.
But again, this is what's gonna. All right. So 2 thoughts. One off what you said first, quickly. I do think one thing that'll make this run more special in a way is since we've experienced the Super Bowl before, you can take in each moment this time more because you know what to expect. I think in 2017 it flew by.
I couldn't agree more.
It flew by.
This has already gone slower. The 2 days have already gone slower than the 2 weeks.
That's what I'm saying, right? So I think for everybody, you know it and you know what to expect, so you can really take in each moment. So there's that. With Foles, right? Since we're doing that, a funny story I have, 2 funny stories actually. So I first started covering the team in 2011. I think I was an intern with G Cobb, and then maybe it was 2010. Because I was
funny though, because 2012 was when I worked for the team.
2012.
I got into the business in 11, so we
right around the same time.
That's cool.
So I have 2 stories. One is I remember being at Lehigh, and I'm sitting on a stoop. I don't even know why I was there, and there was a bus that used to come pick up the rookies, and this player comes and sits not right next to me, but I don't know, 5 feet away or whatever. And at the time I'm learning all the rosters, and I'm sitting there and I'm like, who is this guy? And I look at my roster and I'm like, oh, it's some lineman from Cincinnati. And I'm almost positive it was Jason Kelsey in retrospect, looking back. But the other thing I remember
Kelsey was always awesome to me in the locker room too.
Yeah, he's a really good guy.
I told him on the air once when he was on the midday show, I was in for the camera and we had him on, and at the end I was like, Jason, I just gotta tell you, because he was the one who took me seriously. All the other guys,
he does that. Yeah,
he does that.
Yeah,
no matter what question you ask the man,
he thinks about it. Yeah,
he would say, I asked him. I used to tell you what I would do. I would go around and I would be like, "What's your most prized possession?" or "What's your favorite football player growing up?" And then I would take them and I would edit them together, and the Eagles would use them for stuff. And I would ask, "What's your most prized possession?" He'd stop and then funny enough, the thing he told me years before was what he talked about the Super Bowl. The coin his grandfather gave him with the what perseverance or the whole thing or the quote. And it was but he stopped.
Yeah,
and thought and took me seriously and cared, and that stuff matters.
Yeah, So the quick Foles story. I also remember being up at Lehigh, and I'm walking around, and I see this person that's obviously a player because he's 6'6". And he's so lost looking, and he's looking around, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And he's got long, shaggy hair. And I'm like, who is this dude? And it was Nick Foles. And I remember he was lost. And he's like, what way do you go here? And I'm like, oh, you go this way. Or something like that. But so another part of it. So when you think of 2017, you think of all the special moments, the electric slide celebrations, all these different huge signature. Yeah, he got tackled. No, he didn't.
And obviously P-Rob.
There's
the flea flicker, the stuff in the Super Bowl, the drive, the Philly, all that.
I think when you think of this season, there's not as many of the.
I thought about this last night. I thought about this exactly.
Yeah, there's not as many of those moments.
This playoff run, really, Reddick knocking Purdy out is the moment of the playoff run.
So I think for 2 things on that. One, I think that the reason there's not as many moments is because they just blow everybody out.
Yeah,
they've the second half of both playoff games. haven't been games.
Gardner,
It's
you
been
said this
killing
on
time.
the air,
Yeah.
like Gardner Minshew is coming.
And even during
like,
the
that's
season,
crazy.
I mean, I'm like, did Foles
It
even
was like 3 or 4 times.
did Foles even take the field that year before Wentz went down?
I think
Maybe
there
against
were a
Dallas.
Couple, yeah,
he
there
did.
were no.
Yeah.
Remember in the middle with like the Broncos, the Cardinals, the Bears. They beat them all by like 50.
That's
like
true.
30,
Yeah.
Maybe I don't remember, but I wouldn't
Probably
be
in
shocked.
that spot.
Like they kicked their asses. Like it was like 50-10, like those type of games.
But what I think the special part of this season, and it's not one moment, but I think that the specialness of this year is Jalen. Like that's the specialness. It's not this dance or this celebration. What we're going to remember about this year is Jalen. It's going to be what he did, how much he improved, how he carried himself, when he became the guy.
Too. Let's combine
and Nick too. But yeah, I agree
because this could be this like what we thought Doug and Carson were going to be. I said this, like the Doug and Carson thing. We're like, oh wow, those are our guys. We're going forward with them forever. Like this actually feels they're younger, they're healthy, they're actually one of them's actually playing in the Super Bowl. Like it feels like the Nick Jalen thing. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
He actually has 2 playoff wins. No big deal.
Yeah.
Like it feels like this is really like, and again, we've learned not to, anything can end quickly in the NFL. Right. We know that, but like this does feel different from last time in that we thought that was something. This does feel like that.
I also think a difference is I think this Super Bowl validates everything.
Yeah.
I think the one Super Bowl, it like, yes, look, how he won the Super Bowl. He's clearly a great GM. Like that solidified it in that way.
It's a great point.
But I think this Super Bowl, it like validates. It's the second one,
People thought it was just like, wow, Howie had the luckiest 2
exactly like
in the history of the world. Every move he did went right.
Right.
It wasn't just Howie's like great job. It was like, wow, he just like a lucky clover, like
right, 100%. And I think this one validates like, wow, everything. Howie. It's like, well, I mean, Jeffrey is already the best owner in the history of the city, but like,
without a doubt.
But like this. It's like game over with this. With Howie then becomes one of the 3 most like important sports figures in the history of the city too. Like this can, if they can win it. And I'll also say it does. The one thing that sucks about the NFL is that it's one game, and that's what makes it beautiful and exciting and everything. But man, it just sucks to think how great this Eagles team is, but they could 100% lose to the Chiefs.
Like they're going against the #1 pull it out of his ass guy in the last, maybe in my life watching football.
Right.
Like I don't ever remember. Did you see that stat where he's like the first person ever? Like all other players have like 1 minute or less playoff game-winning drive or whatever. He's got 3 in like 5 years.
Yeah,
like,
it's crazy.
This guy's unbelievable.
Well, I'm trying to remember. So I know in 2017 the Eagles were heavy underdogs, but I think that had to do more with
it was like 6.
It was 5.5
by game time or whatever. But it opened at 6.
I remember when. Excuse me. Sorry. I remember when the Eagles beat the Vikings
last night. By the way, that was part of. I couldn't see, but I kept getting all these like
heartburn
type, and I never. It was anyway.
Getting old, man.
Yeah.
But
about it.
I just kept getting up and peeing. But
that too.
Yeah. So
that's constant.
I remember when they beat the Vikings. Like the article I posted when the gun at like the gun was they're winning the Super Bowl. I remember having supreme confidence, but I'm trying to remember if that was because of the Eagles. Or how the Patriots were viewed. I can't remember if the Patriots.
It had nothing to do with the Patriots. The
okay.
Patriots were good. They played Jacksonville, played them really tough, and they were down 10.
I remember thinking
it wasn't as great as we thought, but they did, it was way more that it was just like, if you're in this city, and if you're not, you don't. And that's what it was. Well, it was the dog mask. It was how good Foles looked in the Minnesota game, and us knowing Foles and knowing that he does have this ability to look horrible and then be great. Like, I think it was the feeling we had here of the vibe of the team, that we all we need, dreams and nightmares, all that stuff. I think that, remember that video, Pat McAfee just put that video out like a couple weeks ago of them before
dancing before the thing, right?
Before the NFC Championship. And that was even before the Super Bowl. So I think we just had those vibes.
But what I'm more wondering is, was that which team was better, this Chiefs team or that Patriots team? I want to go back and look.
It's a great question.
I kind of think it's this Chiefs team.
Let's put it this way. I mean, that Brady threw for 505. It's the record in the playoffs.
I'm going to look up the 2017 Patriots.
I think that Patriots offense with Brady firing the way he was just as good, if not better. It's that Patriots defense wasn't great. They were, especially without Malcolm Butler.
All right, so the 2017 Patriots were second in points allowed. I'm sorry, second in points, and they were 5th in points allowed. So they were really good that year.
So I don't think we can, and again, it was still, they won a Super Bowl the next year. It was still Brady and Belichick in their heyday, their second heyday, so to speak.
So this Patriots team was probably better. Brady was 13-3 that year, 32 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. So yeah, This team was probably better.
And look, and even if it is or isn't, like, it is pretty neat to say
They had Gronk, who's Kelsey, basically.
Yeah, and Gronk was amazing in the second half. Like that, the only reason they almost lost was because Gronk went nuts. That was his
dude, I'm telling you, man, that's all I can think about. For those that aren't watching, James has his coffee. Right. This is another thing where you and Nick are similar. Very active hands.
Yeah.
And
dude.
If you put something in front of Nick, like, first of all, he was also a slam the table guy. But yeah. So Brandon Cooks was their number one receiver. That's probably comparable to this Chiefs team.
I mean, they had Edelman too, who's like,
Yeah. But Cooks, ironically enough, had more catches that year.
Oh, I'm sure he did. Edelman was more like, in the playoffs, you'd go to him.
Yeah.
And he might have been hurt part of that anyway. But regardless, Gronk was amazing. The Pats put up 33 points and lost. They had a chance to win at the end.
100%.
So look, either way, it would, forgetting the which is cooler, like to beat Brady and Belichick in their prime, so to speak, or their second prime, whatever you want to call it, and to beat Andy and Mahomes in their prime, like.
Right, you're not beating the one-off Rams or the Jags,
cool.
or
that's
like
pretty
whatever.
Cool.
It's really cool.
That's like something where I feel like historically, those are the guys you want to beat.
100%.
So,
I think we're to wrap this all up.
Yeah.
I still think, man, if they can win this one, like,
it'll be more impressive. This will be more like I think the whole, and you're already there, but I think which is the better Eagles team is over. If they win this Super Bowl, no matter how they win it, the 2022 Eagles are the best Philadelphia Eagles team, at least since 1960 or 1940. We didn't see those, but
those teams don't count.
Yeah. Of the Super Bowl, whatever you want to say, is the best Eagles team we've ever seen.
I agree. I agree with that.
Yeah.
But man, the Chiefs are good too.
The Chiefs are good too. And again, you're going up against Mahomes and Reed.
Exactly.
Especially Mahomes. Like, this dude it's the ultimate. That's why last week when we took the Bengals, and you said this to me, and I
wish I would have changed my mind.
Yes, and you said after, I wish I had taken the Chiefs, and this was before the game even started. And I totally agreed with you, because it's like you just don't bet against this guy. Like, you just don't bet against him.
And I'd be curious to know Mahomes' record as an underdog. I bet there's probably like 7 games. But
I think he might be undefeated.
Yeah, and he's an underdog in this game.
So, yeah, man. Like, trust me, I get it. I just think the Eagles are a better roster, better team, and all that. But can Patrick Mahomes win a Super Bowl, like, not by himself, but essentially? Sure.
Well, and that's the thing.
The
thing I'm thinking about more than anything.
Gannon, I mean, like, that's the one thing we have literally not, the whole thing from last year. This is it. It's almost like poetic in a way that this defense will face Patrick Mahomes.
100%. And that's one thing. And I'm excited when we do get into the game eventually. But I'm also enjoying just waxing poetic.
We're in the Super Bowl,
exactly.
Baby.
But that is
relish this.
That is one thing. I am not in the camp of they haven't beaten anyone, so what they did doesn't matter. I'm not in that camp. But I do think there's something to be said for the fact that the Chiefs multiple times this year have been pushed by great teams like the Bengals, the Bills. And the Eagles really haven't experienced that. Like, I don't think the fact that Brock Purdy's not that good anyway.
They were going to beat the Niners anyway.
But it is true.
Niners D is legit, though. I felt like that was a legit D.
It is.
But also, I do think that, like, here's a good way to put it. When was the last time the Eagles had to play 4 full quarters?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's been a long time.
It's been I mean,
when's the last time Jalen had to play?
Exactly. Like, because that Giants game in the season didn't really count. Like, they weren't really
When
playing.
was it?
It would have been with Jalen. The Cowboys game with Gardner, they had to be, it was Gardner.
The
so
Bears
the
game,
kind of, but that was like kind of put away by the end of the third. Like, I know it was closer. And they whooped, I guess, the Packers, but even then they were way ahead and they came back. They really haven't had to do it much.
It's the Colts.
Yeah, it's the Colts. Down 2 touchdowns and Jalen and wins. I mean,
so that was November 20th.
That's my point.
It'll be almost November, December, January.
So almost 3 months.
Almost 3 months.
Like 2.5, longer than 2 months. It'll be 2 months and 3 weeks.
Right. So
since Jalen Hurts had to play a tight fourth quarter game.
So that would be one of my concerns. Is just
it's fair.
The Chiefs they've played in the Super Bowl.
Battle tested.
Yeah, exactly. And I think this Eagles team is very tough. And because of the lines, I think they have a chance to win any game. I'm just curious to see how it is when it's like touchdown, like when you have to match a team score for score.
2017, when the Patriots go up 33-32 or whatever.
Yeah, with a minute to go. 9 minutes to go.
Yeah. It was 9 minutes.
Well, they killed like 8 or 9 minutes.
But like that situation though, like we don't, like we believe in Jam. We think we've seen him have game-winning drives and stuff, but we have not seen them in a big game against a great team.
Yeah,
have to make it happen.
And that's the last box, you know.
Look, they might not need to. Like it could be that this team is just so good they go in and romp. But
I would be stunned.
I wouldn't count on against.
Yeah,
I think they're going to win, but the Chiefs are legit, and they got Mahomes.
Yeah, I mean,
they have one of the defensive players of the year. Like we just saw, we did the whole Chris Jones really, and then I watched him, and he was just like Hassan Reddick was the player of the NFC Championship.
Yeah, he was unbelievable.
Chris Jones was the player of the AFC Championship.
I completely underrated the Chiefs all year.
Yeah, I mean, the dude had 50 sacks from the inside. I mean,
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
That's no joke.
No,
you know,
it's
and
not.
Obviously, he moves outside sometimes.
Right.
But, all right. So we got a big week coming up still. Thursday, Friday shows. Obviously, Saturday. What do we do about Sunday? There's no like. Football.
I know. I was going to talk to you about that. I mean,
so we've recorded every day. These are our daily pods during the week. We labeled them as Monday through Friday.
Right.
We're on day 13. Technically, it'll be day like 18. Or
so I mean,
but we've done Saturday and Sunday shows because of the.
Of
I guess technically we didn't do. I mean, we did a Sunday early morning show after
Right.
the Giants. We did it like midnight or whatever.
So we don't have to decide this on air because we have to like figure it out.
We'll figure it out. Oh, you have to fly on.
Well,
Sunday
I'd be fly, but I get into Arizona. Like I would be down to do a Sunday show, but we'll figure it out.
Yeah, we might not need to.
I mean, even StreamYard,
yeah, and stuff like.
I don't know
that.
if people want to do.
Yeah, look, that's true too. Hey, you let us know if you want us to do a Sunday show.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to tweet no Sunday
Yeah,
show.
it's fine.
But yeah,
Look, I'm done with days off. That's how.
that's what I'm saying. And I'll be just being in Arizona
show,
killing
which
time.
you know, not allowed to take days off for a while because you're starting to.
100%. Yeah,
I'm ready to roll.
we'll talk.
Okay. You have no final thought today, correct? I now have 3, by the way.
I know.
2, but one's just a correction.
I'm trying to think. I mean, you go and I'll
so
see if I
first
think
and
of any
foremost,
thoughts
shout
on
out to my brother Peter Seltzer, who was not watching live. I could tell because he's texting me about yesterday's episode. So thank you for listening.
Thank
Peter,
you for
at all.
listening.
I love
yeah.
when people are behind and they'll tweet at us about something that was yesterday. I'm like, I love it. It's
100%.
great. Not everyone can tune in live, but the like 30 or something people.
Yeah,
tune
it's
in live.
wild.
You are amazing.
Really
I
appreciate it.
like
A lot of comments too.
bottom of my heart
Yeah.
stuff here. So my brother, I don't think we're gonna get our girl on the pod anytime soon because I was calling her Quinta Brunson. Apparently it's Quinta.
Nice,
Brunson.
nicely done.
Hands up.
So she won't be
My
coming
bad.
on the pod. Yeah,
Quinta, I'm so sorry.
she won't be coming
Please
on the
forgive
pod.
me. I do
Yeah.
love your show. Please come on the pod.
Yeah.
Your name's Janine on the show, not Quinta.
There we
so
go.
It's fair to mistake. Okay, now here are my final thoughts. I have an Elliot-esque final thought, and then like a real thought that I have. But this is more of sometimes you'll just say things where I'll be like Elliot, like they're somewhat like obvious or
Right.
whatever, but like they're like you'll say them like they're kind of deep.
Yeah.
This is this.
Okay.
Does everyone just love their kids like so obsessively? Like, is everyone as obsessed with your kid as I am? It's hard for me to function sometimes when I'm with my daughter and just thinking about how much I love
Yeah.
this little creature and everything she does and how it's like I'm like I almost can't like breathe as I think about it. Like it's like such an intense,
Yeah.
visceral thing. Like all parents have to feel.
That's
that,
how I
right?
would. That's how I would imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I assume they do, but I only know my experience.
I think loving your kid is
like,
a pretty
do I love my kid too
standard.
much? I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I don't think too much. I mean, again,
Yeah.
she says bananas, so it's hard to.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I mean, I think I'd imagine all the parents out there can probably relate to that
It's a
feeling.
pretty wild thing.
Yeah.
Man. You really love your kids.
Yeah.
Hard.
Well, maybe the Super Bowl will end up being more special because of that.
See, there you go.
Yeah.
All right, and then I told you it was a very,
It's a good one though.
it's just
It's a good
true.
one.
Like
Yeah.
Zoe, I freaking love.
It's
you,
a good
man.
one.
Like you are so cute.
When she listens in 20 years.
Yes. All right, and now there's my real one.
Okay.
And this is kind of an obvious statement too, but I don't think we say it enough. I appreciate when people are good at their jobs.
Yeah.
Like I went to the dentist yesterday.
Sounds
And
awful.
It
I have to go.
It was
to
not
this.
fun, but
Yeah.
I just getting it cleaning a lot, no issues. Yeah, I've had a lot of dental issues in the past. It was good, but like the hygienist was like phenomenal. She was detailed. She was like letting me know everything she was doing. She like so in depth the X-rays. The doctor came in. He's like, turn the lights off. Look at it. Like, and it was just like, and they should be right. You know, he's a doctor, like a dentist, and all like they should be. But like, I feel like so many times in life you interact or you come into things where people are just not into their job or don't care. Like I've had other hygienists in the past who just kind of breeze through it and aren't as detailed and intense and all that. And like as someone who like, look, I'm not the best talker in the world, but I feel like I'm a damn good producer. But like, and I'm working on everything else, but like I'm really good at producing. Like I know I'm good at it. I believe I'm good at it. Like I take pride in it. And I appreciate when people take pride in what they do and are great at what they do. And I know it's kind of an obvious statement,
no, but
I just want to appreciate it.
But I do think to your point, like I remember when we were, me and Kristen were flying back from Ireland one time and our flight from Ireland, we had a layover in Chicago, but it got canceled. Like there was no flight. It was gone. And it was mayhem in the airport. And there was this worker, like literally we just happened to like ask her. She like basically held our hand through the whole process, took us to this gate, took us to that gate, made sure blah, blah, blah. And we got home because of it. So like, you were right. When there are people that are just like phenomenal at their job, it's such a great experience.
It is.
It just makes the most mundane thing feel like, oh, that was enjoyable.
And look, this is something. How long ago was that? Like 3 years? I remember 2 years ago, Ireland. Or whatever, something like that. Like,
you still remember it? Yeah, 100%.
Like, bringing her up out of nowhere, like you can have a real impact on people's lives, and someone will remember you forever when you So I was thinking it yesterday as this was the last I just said was good, but like not as detailed. Like this woman was so, shout out to Pam.
Right.
Pam was like so locked in. And I was just like thinking, I'm like, I really appreciate, like it was the whole operation. The doctor comes in, he was great. Like it was just like, I appreciate people who care about their jobs, people who are competent at their jobs, people who like, go about their business in a dedicated way. Like it's just something that I don't think we comment about enough. It's obvious, but
so
to people.
I do have a final thought actually off the dentist thing.
Love it.
And I don't know if I ever told you this, but I believe this to my absolute core. My sister brought this to my attention probably 10 years ago, and I think it's 100% true. I think when it's colder outside, your teeth get sharper. And in the summer, I think your teeth are duller.
That's certainly like, so there's a lot of cold, hot stuff with like, it's, like your fat.
That's what I mean. Yeah. I think it.
So I have no idea. This is not my.
I'm telling, and you know what?
So it's sharper, like just like.
I think like they're just like sharper. Yeah. And I think in the summer they're duller.
So if we have any dentists who are fans of the pod,
yeah, it's a good
let
point
us know
actually.
If there's any validity to this.
Yeah.
This is.
I can like even now, like if you're listening, like if you feel your back teeth, like they're sharper. I feel like, and then a few months we'll do it again, maybe in July.
I like this.
We'll feel our teeth again. Yeah.
So thank you to everyone out there who cares and goes.
Yeah.
Because like you can, especially like dentists and stuff, you're actually on people's teeth and stuff, but just in
it's
general,
an
like working in an airport job or wherever, like you never know how just caring and going about your business in a good way can change people's lives.
100% true.
So, all right, awesome. Oh, man, again, I know I've said this a million times, but it's so funny that we came into this thinking, hey, so Elliot had the idea, he's like, let's do daily.
Well, it's also funny because on the drive here, you were literally like,
out.
I will not be talking. And in my head, I'm thinking like, well, I guess I'll just basically carry this pod. And I love it. I feel like you've talked like 70% of this pod, which is fine.
Jacked up.
Yeah, you're like ready to go.
I'm so excited about this.
It's going to be fun, man.
And these daily pods have been just the coolest thing. Like I was saying, we're just going to do 15, 20 minutes. It's another 45. I love it. And I want to keep, and again, let us know if you want a Sunday. Thank you to everyone who tunes in live. It is amazing.
I think we should probably do Sunday.
Yeah, I think we'll probably do Sunday.
I think we'll probably do Sunday.
Okay. So we'll be back tomorrow, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
There it is.
So and so forth. All right. Thank you to everyone who tuned in. Thank you to everyone who listened. Until then.
He's Elliot. I'm James. Hold on.
Yeah. Shout to people out. Thank you, everybody. This is awesome. 38 people in here? Wow.
Yeah, I mean, ESP just stole the idea from Jack and the High Hopes pod.
Oh, which one?
No, you guys never did daily pods for the High Hopes pod.
No, we did reaction
Post
ones.
games,
It's because they played every day.
Yeah,
There's games every day.
Yes.